Imagine a place on Earth where three continents meet, where some of the world's most important religions began, and where a huge portion of the world's oil lies underground. Now, imagine that the entire world depends on what happens there. That place is the Middle East. For more than a century, this region has been at the center of wars, rivalries, and global power struggles. But why? Why does conflict keep returning here again and again? And why do countries thousands of miles away, like the United States, Russia, and China, care so much about what happens there? By the end of this video, you'll clearly understand the hidden reasons why the Middle East keeps becoming the center of global conflict. Number 1. Geography placed this region at the center of global power. The Middle East sits between three major continents: Asia, Europe, Africa. For thousands of years, this made it one of the most important trading regions on Earth. Whoever controlled this region could influence global trade routes. Even today, ships carrying oil and goods must pass through narrow waterways like the Strait of Hormuz. Nearly 1/5 of the world's oil passes through this small waterway. That means if something goes wrong here, energy prices across the world can change overnight. This alone makes the region extremely important for global powers. Number 2. Oil isn't just fuel. It's the lifeline of the modern world. The Middle East holds some of the largest oil reserves in the world. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, United Arab Emirates sit on massive underground energy resources. Oil powers transportation, factories, electricity, military equipment. This means whoever controls oil supply can influence the global economy. That's why major powers always try to protect their interests in this region. Number 3. Beyond politics and resources, religion and identity strongly shape the conflict. The Middle East is not just important for politics or oil. It is also one of the most spiritually important regions on Earth. This region is the birthplace of three major world religions: Islam, Christianity, Judaism. Today, billions of people around the world follow these religions. Because of this, events happening in the Middle East often feel personal and emotional for people everywhere. But why do these religions matter so much in this region? Thousands of years ago, many of the most important religious stories and historical events happened in this area. For example, Judaism began among the ancient Jewish people in this region thousands of years ago. Christianity started when Jesus Christ lived and taught in this area. Islam began in the nearby Arabian Peninsula through the teachings of Prophet Muhammad. Because of this history, many places in the Middle East are considered holy or sacred. But one city stands at the heart of this conflict: Jerusalem. One of the most important cities in the world is Jerusalem. This single city is sacred to all three religions. For example, for Judaism, Jerusalem is home to the Western Wall, the last remaining part of the ancient Jewish temple. For Christianity, it is the city where Jesus Christ was crucified and resurrected. For Islam, it contains the Al-Aqsa Mosque, one of the holiest sites in Islam. So imagine this situation: three different religions, each with deep historical and emotional connections to the same city. That naturally makes the area very sensitive and complicated. When religion and politics mix, conflicts often become deeper and harder to solve. In many parts of the world, religion and politics are separate. But in the Middle East, religious identity often overlaps with political identity. For example, disputes between Israel and Palestine are not only about land or borders. They also involve religious history, sacred places, and identity. Because religion is deeply connected to people's beliefs and traditions, conflicts involving religion can become more emotional and harder to compromise on. People often feel they are not just defending land, they are defending their faith and heritage. And this is why conflicts like these are so difficult to solve. When conflicts are only about money, trade, or territory, countries can sometimes negotiate and find compromises. But when religion and identity become part of the conflict, it becomes much more difficult. Why? Because religion is not something people easily negotiate. For many people, it represents faith, culture, history, family traditions, So even small disputes around holy places can quickly turn into large emotional conflicts. Let's understand this with a very simple example. Imagine three families living in the same neighborhood. In the middle of the neighborhood, there's a very old temple that each family believes belongs to them because of their family history. Each family has stories, traditions, and memories connected to that place. Now, imagine someone tries to decide who controls it. Suddenly, the issue becomes very emotional because it's not just about land. It's about identity and belief. This is similar to what happens in parts of the Middle East. Number 4. Behind the conflict, global powers are competing for influence. Another big reason the Middle East often becomes the center of global conflict is because many powerful countries want influence there. But what does influence actually mean? It simply means having the power to shape decisions, control resources, and protect national interests in that region. Because the Middle East has oil, strategic trade routes, and important allies, many global powers try to maintain strong presence there. But the real question is, why do global powers care so much? There are 3 main reasons why powerful countries compete in the Middle East. 1. Energy security. Modern economies depend heavily on oil and gas. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Qatar have some of the largest energy reserves in the world. Because of this, powerful countries want stable access to energy supplies. For example, the United States has historically maintained strong relations with several Gulf countries to ensure global oil markets remain stable. If conflict disrupts oil supply, fuel prices around the world can increase quickly. 2. Strategic military position. The Middle East sits near some of the world's most important sea routes. One of them is the Strait of Hormuz, where a large portion of global oil shipments pass every day. If this narrow waterway gets blocked during a conflict, the global economy could feel immediate impact. Because of this, powerful countries often keep military bases or alliances in the region to protect these routes. 3. Political alliances. Different countries in the region align with different global powers. For example, Israel has a strong strategic partnership with the United States. Iran has developed closer ties with Russia and sometimes cooperates with China. Syria has also received military support from Russia. Because of these alliances, conflicts in the region sometimes turn into larger geopolitical rivalries. It becomes similar to a global chessboard, where each country tries to protect its own interests. What starts as a local conflict can quickly become a global tension. Sometimes a conflict may begin between 2 countries in the region, but global powers become involved because of their alliances. For example, tensions involving Israel, Iran, and other regional actors can attract attention from countries like the United States and Russia. This makes the situation more complicated because now multiple powerful nations have interests in the outcome. A clear modern example of this pattern is the growing tension between Israel and Iran. One of the latest tensions in the region involves Israel and Iran. In recent years, both countries have accused each other of cyber attacks, drone strikes, and military actions through allies. Iran supports groups like Hezbollah, which operate near Israel. Israel sees this as a security threat and often responds with military operations. This creates a cycle of retaliation. Why does the world care? Because if this tension becomes a full war, it could affect a global oil supply, international shipping routes, alliances involving major powers. In other words, a regional conflict could quickly become a global crisis. Let's understand this with a simple example from everyday life. To understand this better, imagine this situation. Think about a large apartment building with many families living inside. Now, imagine the main water tank for the entire building is located in one apartment. If the people in that apartment start fighting with neighbors, everyone else in the building becomes worried. Because if the water supply gets disrupted, everyone will suffer. The Middle East is similar. It controls resources and routes that the entire world depends on. That's why conflicts there immediately affect everyone else. So what is the real lesson behind all of this? The Middle East is not always in conflict simply because of local issues. It's because many powerful factors overlap in the same place. Strategic geography. massive energy resources, religious importance, global power rivalry. When all these forces combine, even small tensions can grow into major international conflicts. And this leaves us with one final thought. The truth is, the Middle East is not just a region on the map. It's a global crossroads of power, energy, and history. Now I want to ask you something. Do you think the Middle East will ever become completely peaceful? Or will global powers always keep competing for influence there? And one more question. If oil was discovered somewhere else tomorrow, do you think the Middle East would still be this important? Write your opinion in the comments. I read every comment and replied to many of them. And if you want more simple explanations of complex global issues, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because the next video will reveal how trade routes secretly control global power. Trust me, once you see it, you'll never look at world news the same way again.